So it's been a while. I've been doing other things, busy, and so I haven't posted in a while. Anyway, I've gotten some new equipment, and I'm giving it a test here to see how we go. What I'm doing today, is I've got this old PowerBook G3 Pismo. It's a 500 megahertz version. Actually, it is a kit bash. I had 2 or 3 of these things that I had fished out of parts bins over the years. And I got an assortment of motherboards. Whoop, dropped my modem. Motherboards, CPUs, everything else in here. And I went to go make this video last week, and this motherboard had killed over, so I had to switch it out. Probably should have put that on video, but I'm not confident enough with my ability to repair and shoot a video of it at the same time to do that yet. So we're going to start with this relatively basic one. This motherboard killed over, so I replaced it with the last one I have that still works. Maybe take a look at that one later and try to fix it. This here is a Wall Street. This is the older brother of the Pismo. Main difference being it's a lot thicker, and the Wall Street had old school ports, no USB, just SCSI, ADB, VGA. The Pismo was a good bit thinner, only has one PCMCIA slot. It's got FireWire and USB S-Video, but no SCSI, no ADB. This is before they went to the G4 Titanium. The Pismo is probably one of my favorite laptops they ever made. This is the Mac Lab room, by the way. If you can't tell, I've got a trash can over there. It's not hooked up at the moment, but I do have in the intervening years, I still use Linux basically all the time, but I do have like a Mac setup now for a few things. Anyway, what's really lucky about this one is I found a screen that was basically unused and was in really good shape. Let me zoom out here a little bit. I said we're testing some new equipment, and let me get you repositioned. Okay, now that you're back in a better position to actually see the whole screen. This one actually had a really nice screen on one of mine that I dug out of the trash. It basically had no use on it. The backlight was still in really good shape. And the keyboard was fantastic. I mean, usually these get pretty bad wear marks on them, but that space bar is pristine. It's in really good shape. These are very good bridge machines, meaning that they are good for moving files from a more modern machine to an older machine, because they've got USB and FireWire. You can copy stuff to a pen drive from an optical drive, drive bay. You can get a floppy module for these, or at least you can for the Wall Street. I'm not sure if the Pismo had a floppy module or not. I can't remember off the top of my head, so don't quote me there. But they're good for bridge machines because they have, modern Ethernet, modern USB, but still support OS 9, so you can still copy and move things between older machines and this machine. You've got a PCMCIA card slot here. I use like a compact flash reader, especially for my Wall Street here. I don't even know if it's still in there. No, I've taken it out, but I'll put a compact flash to PCMCIA adapter in there and copy things from like an 8 gig flash card off to here. But anyway, a lot of rambling to say what I'm doing today is we're actually going to put an SSD in this 24-year-old laptop. They make little mini SATA SSDs. Focus, expose correctly, maybe. I'm still learning. I'm learning. Anyway, yeah, you can read that. It's good enough. 64 gig. These are like 20 bucks. And on our friends at AliExpress, aka Mal's Dollarama, you can get these little IDE cages, right? And you get some plastic you can throw away. But this is basically inside of here. There's a little mini SATA. Can you see that? I may have it overlit. Mini SATA slot, our friend electrolytic capacitor there, to an IDE laptop, 2.5-inch IDE. You'll notice this one's got this pin clipped. I've found, can you see that? Yeah, it's got that pin clipped. I've found a number of these that's from various sellers that don't have that pin broken off there, and if you're using like an eIDE interface or something like that, you have to take a pair of flush cutters and cut that off. Won't hurt anything because the cable didn't have a hole for it. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. The reason why I like these laptops a lot, and this video is completely unscripted, I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants, is that, if I can find a screwdriver, they are very easily taken apart and upgraded. Let's see, there we go. I'm going to unlock the keyboard here, and pull these two little tabs here on the keyboard, and you literally just roll the keyboard over, and there's all of your bits and bobs. Your CPU and RAM sits here, your hard drive sits here. These were the first Apple PowerBooks. The iBook before this took it. It's a little clamshell deal to have a slot for an airport card. I need to get one of those. I thought I had one, but it turns out it was an Airport Extreme card, not the OG 802.11b one. So I need to find one of those. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do this pretty quickly. So we just need a Phillips. Got a Phillips. Well, technically it's a JIS cross point, but you know the drill. And remove this heat shield. All right. There. So that's just like a bonus heat sink. I don't know what to call it. Heat shield. I'm also going to go ahead and unplug the keyboard ribbon cable here. So just gently take that off. Get rid of that. To give more room and to give a better view, let me get you back in here. Okay, I've got the camera better orientated now to show you this, but I took the heatsink off. This is your CPU here, the heatsink. We do need to get that off of here because we actually need to pull the CPU card. So I'm going to remove this retaining screw that actually also helps hold down the modem, which is pretty useless these days. Although I do watch the Serial Port on YouTube, and I think those guys actually have a dial-up ISP. So maybe when we get a little bit further in, I can let me get my fat hairy arm out of the way there. I think I might have you guys in a bad spot. Like I said, we're still figuring this out. We're just going to do it live. I kept putting it off and like, man, I could do better. I could try other things. But we're just gonna go for it, right? You know, there's plenty of bad content on YouTube. I'll fit right in. This is not only going to be a vintage repair channel, it's just going to be a whatever channel. I'll get some keyboard. I actually got a couple of keyboard videos coming, but this is a T7 head is what you need to take off those little bits there. I'll just set these over here. I'm an organization freak. All right. Get the heat sink. That's all you needed for this, you know, this lightning fast PowerPC 500 megahertz. You just need this little thin heat sink. Hey, it worked. I did manage to find a whole 1 gig of RAM to put in this, so this baby is maxed out. This is probably one of the most powerful G3 PowerBooks on the planet. Well, you can get a G4 upgrade card. Yeah, you can upgrade the whole CPU. So this is the CPU card. You know, RAM on either side. Back in the day, it uses a socket to plug in. You can get G4 upgrade cards for these. I don't know if I want to do that because I've got a PowerBook G4 laying around here that I can use for that stuff. But if you're so inclined, you can indeed do that. Let's see. Now we just unplug the hard drive here, and voila. We'll weasel this little sled out of here. And there's your 10 gigabyte ultra reliable Hitachi Travel Star. I'm really surprised these are still working. I've done this conversion on one of my G4s just because, one, these drives are getting hard to find. This is actually a later one from May of 05. But these drives are getting hard to find, these IDE laptop drives. And when you do find them, they tend to be not very reliable. They've already had a hot supper and been put away wet. So, you know, they're 20 years old at the minimum. So, yeah, if you can replace it with an SSD and it works with your vintage machine, I highly recommend doing that. So we're just going to unplug this cable. Actually, let me get this out of here before I drop a screw down in it. So I'm going to set the PowerBook over there on top of the Wall Street. And we're just going to take our T7 driver here and remove these screws and bumpers. Screws and bumpers, screws and bumpers. That sounds like a dirty movie. Anyway. Probably have some nice music playing behind this. I'm going for like an Adrian's Digital Basement kind of vibe. Not overly produced, not overly scripted, just working on stuff in the attic here. I actually do not have, well, I have a basement, but it's full of cat stuff and car stuff. Maybe I can make some videos about that. I don't know. But the attic has kind of been my workspace. It's not as convenient as the basement. It's not as tempered. We've got an AC up here, but it does get hotter than frig in the summer. So let's see. There is your ribbon cable, 1999 Apple computer. Look at there. Yes, Apple, you do know how to make user serviceable machines. I've seen you do it before. You know, those M series are nice, but daggone, when that SSD goes, that thing is done. I don't know if we need this little rubber doodad. I'll leave it on this drive. I'll set this drive aside since it is still working. And sometimes these little adapters do not play nicely with some machines. All right, we've got our package of screws. Hey, look, free candy for the kids. No, don't do that. And we have our, this is a mSATA 230S Transcend. They seem fairly reliable. I've got Transcend SD cards and stuff. You know, they're no SanDisk or Samsung, but hey, I haven't had one blow up on me. There is the monstrosity. 64 gigs, and this machine is probably enough. I think it's limited to 120 gigs anyway. I do to make a 128 gig version of this drive, but I'll put that in the trash pile. But I'm not sure if this machine will see it. My G4, I put a 256 gig in. We have liberated the drive from its retail packaging jail. There it is. Yeah, looks nice. So first thing we got to do is get these two retaining screws out. Okay, bring you guys in to show you putting the final screw in here. And we just put that in. Like so. Can you see it? Focus. There we go. This is a Fuji X-H2, not the S, just the 40 megapixel one. Seems to do okay on video stuff. I just have, the only zoom lens I have is the 12 to 24. So I'm trying it out. I might get a 16 to 85. I primarily do still photos, still photos, but yeah. It's nice to have some video stuff. So we're gonna clip this in here, and we get into the snack bag here, and put these little tiny, if I can get my fat thumbs to open this, little tiny bag of stuff open here. Just dump them out on the table so I'll lose them. Put that in the junk pile. And use these little screws here to hold the external enclosure together. This is basically, you know, you've seen USB enclosures, right? Where you put a SATA hard drive or something in it, and it, you know, mounts out, it goes out to USB, so you can just plug it in on any computer. Well, this is the same idea, it's just with mSATA to IDE. You're essentially putting a drive in an external enclosure, but it's going to be internal to the machine. There we go. And I'll bring you in when I get this all done. Okay, we've got it into the cage. I'll bring you in to show you installing it into the cage. This blue stuff here, beware the sticky bumper that isolates and insulates these IDE pins on the back seems to have started to return to the oil from whence it was made. So if you're doing this, be mindful of that, and you might need to wash your hands. But we'll just kind of go around in here and try to align these mounting holes with these bumpers. Not that it's really matters all that much. This thing's pretty tight in there, but oh, I'm touching it again. I swear this is way harder on camera. Let's see. You lose 10 IQ points on camera when you've only got about 63 to work with anyway. That's a hard time, man. Hard time indeed. Let's see here. Oop. And yep, there they go. There we go. So you just get that lined up in there, and we'll get our Torx driver and insert these. Yep, we'll drop the screw. And we'll insert and we'll do it again. I'll tell you what, I'll do it by hand. I forgot that's not magnetized. Let's see, we'll kind of stick that in there. And hopefully you can see the action. No, you can just see my knuckle. I'm just gonna get it started. We don't need, this is a little bit, you know, since this is like a plastic case, it's gonna be not as great feeling screwing into as like a metal thing on a hard drive. It's gonna feel a little bit like you're stripping it. It's okay. This plastic case cost, you know, I think $6. And I even bought the expensive one. And I keep doing that. Good. I'm used to this set here. I have magnetized all the bits over the years. And so it's the one I usually use. I went for these because they were there. Too many tools. So let's kind of stick these in there like that. Stick her in and send her home. Like I said, I'm sorry if this video is a bit of a mess. I'm testing a lot of things. I just need to get, I've been putting off doing this for a while and I've lost a screw. It went this way though, I know, I heard it. Let me find that screw and I'll get back to you. Okay, bringing you back in for the final assembly here. We got our screws in and ready to go. So we're just going to stick this back in the same way we took it out and plop it in there. There we go. You can feel it positively click. You don't want to be too rough on this cable. Next up is the CPU. I mean, you have to take out the CPU to get to the hard drive. That's kind of ridiculous on these. The Wall Street, you don't have to do that, even though it's the same basic configuration on the inside. But at least they make it easy to do. I can say that about it. So we'll firmly press that down until it clicks in. At least they give you this nice little pull tab there. I'm not going to worry about rethermal pasting this. You know, 500 megahertz of PowerPC Fury. I think it'll be fine. You know, I might do it one day. Not today though. It's not like it's hard to get to. If it does show symptoms of throttling or overheating. And we're gonna stick the Torx bits back in there. I can't do things left-handed. Okay, lesson the second or first here is if you are, put the camera on the opposite side of your dominant hand. Pro YouTube tip. Huh, well no, now this thing's magnetized. So actually I wonder if I could rotate it this way. There we go, that's better. Like I said, we're going for like a haphazard kind of, we're learning as we go. We're learning as we go here, YouTube people. It's been a while. I think the last video I uploaded outside of like a test video was 2021. A lot has happened since then. A lot. Good grief. I'm trying to get back into practice though. Click. All right. Got the heatsink reattached. Got the modem retaining screw in. Put our heat shield back in here. Heat shield probably plus RF shield. In actuality, probably keeps the noise down out of the speakers and whatnot. If I had to make a semi-educated guess. And this one uses Phillips or cross type screws. Now we need our keyboard. That just, you know, just a press in connector like that. Be careful with this ribbon cable. These are kind of fragile. So I just kind of hold the keyboard up. It's hard to show on camera, but I just kind of hold the keyboard up like at an angle and the connector's down in there and you just kind of get on top of it and press it in. And when you click on there, it only goes one way. You'll know it. All right, make sure that Wi-Fi antenna is kind of plugged out of the way there. And just for completeness sake, I like to take after I do this, I like to take a screwdriver and lock. It's not necessary, but there's a little slot here and you turn it so that the slot is turning into the screen, perpendicular to the screen, and it's an extra lock to keep the keyboard down. You don't have to, not everyone does that. Well, next, let's see if this thing recognizes the drive. So let me bring you in here in a minute. Time for the moment of truth. I've got my eMac Mac OS 9 install disk. I use this because it's got OS 9.2.2 on it, which is the latest and greatest, and this will boot most classic Macs that can boot Mac OS 9. The one exception being, I think the dual 1.25 mirrored door drive G4s, or maybe it was the 1.4, but those can't boot Mac OS Classic either. You need their specific restore disks, but for most other ones, this will work. And I always put Mac OS 9 on these first just because it makes it easier with the disk driver stuff. If you install it in OS 10 and you don't check that box that says install the Mac OS 9 disk driver, well, you've got to reformat it again. So I'm going to cut her on, and we got a chime. All right, let's see if the DVD drive will eject here on me. Oh, it's not enthusiastic about it, but it did. Got a folder Mac, that's not too bad. Let's hold down the C key. That's to be expected, this drive's unformatted. Let's see here, can you see that screen? Let me adjust the exposure here and see if I can get that better on you. Okay, I got the lighting adjusted and the camera settings adjusted a little bit, so this poor ancient 20-year-old LCD, 24-year-old LCD, excuse me, don't give it credit it's due, can compete. Also tried to set you guys up for the better viewing angle. Probably need a better lens. My still photos, I mostly shoot with prime. So I've got like the 35, the 23, the 55, the 50-10, and the 80mm. But I don't use that zoom stuff very often. So I've got this wide angle, but I need to get like a standard zoom for using with video work because it's much easier than switching out primes. All right, we have booted. All right. We'll go into Utilities and Drive Setup. Not initialized, that's good, ATA. And we're going to call this. And there's nothing on there, we know, initialize. And fingers crossed. Hey, it did it. And it looks like it's good. Let's see, get info. Look at that, 59 gigs. That's probably more than you'll ever use on OS 9, but again, probably kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can bring it to you. We're doing it the old bootleg way. Yeah, so that works a charm in this machine. All right. Let's see. Let me see if I can move this light a little bit more. There we go. Makes the surrounding area a little darker, but this poor old screen is, even though it's in good shape, it's one of the brighter ones from this age I've seen. So we'll call this Macintosh SSD instead of HD. All right, nice. All right, so that is initialized. We'll go ahead and I'll let it install Mac OS 9. And well, let's see if Mac OS 9 will start its process here. Macintosh SSD uses whole OS, 236 megabytes of space. Oh, we want to continue. I guess I agree. And we'll click start. Updating, installing. Okay, well, this will take a couple of minutes, so I'm going to not record this and bring you in when it's finished. Okay, we're back. OS 9 install seemed to go smoothly, so we're going to quit and restart and see if it boots off the SSD. Is it going to boot off the CD? Nope. Okay, it just spun it up. I don't hear the laser moving, I just hear it spinning. Wonder if I could eject it. Macs are weird about that though. Give me my CD. No, okay. We have to wait. Seems to be booting. Mouse is responsive. Wow. It's the smoothest and quietest, you know, outside of that CD drive, a PowerBook G3 has ever been, right? I'll get a little bit better on screen here. Yeah, no, you're not getting on the network. All right. At least not currently. All right, I'll kind of close that. I'm gonna go ahead and eject that CD so we have to sit there and listen to it. That drive, it's on its way out. But I'm sure I've got another few of those drive bay modules around here somewhere. Well, here we are. Perfectly silent. Fan's not spinning yet. And US, you've not provided a username. That's fine, I'm not going to. I'll quit. Anyway, here we are. We are running off of the SSD. And, wow, that's pretty good. You know, graphing calculator. 2x plus 1. There you go. It can graph a linear equation. Fantastic. Yeah, so there's your video. I'm probably going to dual boot this with macOS 10.3 Panther. I made video of that and put that in a separate thing. I imagine this Pismo is going to show up in a few other videos. I'm not completely turning this into a retro hardware channel. I'm just adding it. I'll probably got a keyboard video coming up. This is a general interest channel. I'm a general interest person. Live with it or don't. I don't care. Anyway, yeah, that's all I've got now. This thing, it works. I'm pretty excited. We will see you next time if this last motherboard doesn't die. And next time. We'll see you next time. And hopefully this motherboard doesn't die and we can do some more stuff on this Pismo. See you later.